Sorry, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Zoom, but if you roll your mouse over your screen, it'll pull up some boxes at the bottom and you can click on chat and see the chat where we can share links. I'm going to be able to share my screen with you and show you some things. Again, welcome, and we're going to be going over some basics of LayLaw. Again, I don't know the law. I don't pretend to know the law. I've just been engaged for a while, and I'm going to share with you guys what I have learned, and I'm going to point you to resources. This is for people who are having to fight their own battles for whatever reason. I'm not an attorney. I can't advise you. If you have an attorney, you should deal with your attorney. If you have a legal issue, you should, I guess, consult an attorney. But I am here to teach lay law to lay people from a lay perspective, from a lay person who's been engaged in the system for a few years. And like I said, I've taken my share of knocks, but they've taught me a lot. And so I wanted to share with you guys some resources and some basics of what's happening in our legal battles. So,
okay, I have a question about. I am on a phone, a cell phone only. I don't have a computer. So, how do I get to that screen share?
You can see the Zoom, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can see who all's here. I can see the 3 little dots at the bottom, and I only have 3 dots.
Can you see the black screen that has your name on it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I'll share screen.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Here, I can go there right now. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, I can see your computer now.
Okay. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to go through some tabs and just show y'all some resources and stuff, and we can talk about that stuff.
Okay.
But first, I really want to start with hold on, I'm having to learn as I go along how to work this system because I've just started to use it.
Yes. We will be very patient, Nannette, because we really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes, we do appreciate your time. We know it's valuable.
There we go. Okay, so the basics, if anybody just about who is engaged in a legal battle at this time, at least half of us that are engaged are actually in a spiritual battle.
Yes.
Rather than a legal battle, but it manifests itself as a legal battle. And
yes.
That's kind of the first thing we need to understand about what's going on here. Because understanding and handling the spiritual side of it helps to handle the legal side of it. Now, this is just my opinion. Anybody can take or leave my opinion. But
no, I can't speak for everyone else, but I would say we all pretty much understand that.
Good. because that will make it much easier
Yes.
to get through it. And, you know, whatever faith you're of, you know, whatever you call your creator or your sacred books, I know a lot of them say basically the same things. And not only do they talk about prayer, specifically the Bible, but it also talks quite a bit about meditation. And that's important. Prayer is, in my view, basically speaking, and meditation is listening for the answers. So we need to kind of go through our days and our lives, you know, in a meditative state. In other words, always listening for spirit to guide us, and pay attention to those nudgings from spirit. Because, you know, I know a lot of us here do know that that we can be we can hear the word of God and our angels that watch over us. So
Absolutely.
It's very important to realize that. And another thing in conjunction with that and the law and the issues that a lot of us are facing is that a lot of us may be sick, physically ill. And that too is a part of the spiritual attack.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you, Regina. I'm just observing I'm just telling you my opinion of what I have observed over decades. And I've seen that, you know, certain family lines and certain people who, you know, want to change things for the better come under attack. You know, evil doesn't attack, or Satan, or however you want to put it, negative energies. I call it negs, whatever it is, it's all negative. But negatives don't attack what Christians call sinners. They've already got them. They're attacking.
They don't attack their own.
Yes, exactly, Susie. They don't attack their own. They're attacking people who are trying to get something good done. So, some of the ways that manifests, which everybody needs to be aware of, is in sickness and that sickness can, and I'm talking about physical, genetic, DNA proven illness, can manifest itself in what are labeled as mental disorders or even addictions. And the mechanism by which this works, and this is what's important for us to really pay attention to. A discovery I've made, which honestly I haven't even made a video on yet, but I've known about it for quite a while, but I wanted to make sure and verify and come up with some solutions. What I've come to understand is, you know, we have the spiritual world and we have the physical world, and we have to communicate between the two.
Yes.
And the communication system by which humans do that works within the endocrine system. And many of these bloodlines and family lines have been attacked exactly in their DNA in the endocrine systems.
Okay.
So I have been in natural health since my teens, and I've studied probably more hours than PhDs study. It's been ungodly at times, the research bents that I've gone on. What do they call them when people, alcoholics, the benders? I go on research benders.
Yes.
I do too.
Yeah, and then I go for like weeks on end with 1 or 2 hours sleep, and I just research like mad in places people don't go. And this is, and I've been guided as well, and this is why I have research that others don't have. I found some research that they've known since 1934, at least, about the endocrine system, and some of the functions and how that works, and that by messing up the endocrine system, they could create criminals.
Yeah.
They could create imbeciles.
Okay.
They could create any manner of evil that you could think of.
Yes.
As far as like what you could do to somebody, you know,
right.
Make somebody autistic or sick or genetically ill is pretty evil.
Yes, it is.
Or to make them a criminal or an addict. And that is all done with the endocrine system. And one of the mechanisms by which that works is that there is damage in the DNA. And I have some videos on this that I'm going to point y'all to. But there are genetic anomalies that cause people not to be able to break down and digest certain nutrients, and makes it very difficult for them to break down drugs, and this whole thing kind of collapses the endocrine system, and so the adrenals go down, and the person's not getting enough minerals to begin with. And so what happens when you see people, and I know a lot of people who are listening to me are going to recognize this behavior in their families or somebody they know. When you see people that are good people, that you know right, and you know are good people who act right and behave right as a norm, and then all of a sudden they click off and act crazy out of the blue, what you're actually seeing is that person's liver getting overloaded. And so there's kind of a trinity in the body surrounding this thing that is the liver, adrenals, and kidneys. And so anybody engaged in these battles needs to watch out for their adrenals, their liver, and their kidneys. And when those go down, people need to keep their adrenals up, so they do drugs. Now, it does attack the thyroid, the pituitary, the thalamus, the hypothalamus. And, you know, the hypothalamus particularly can cause a lot of mineral loss and mineral problems. But we see mostly, mainly, and consistently that trinity is kind of like the foundation. If you can keep the liver, the kidneys, and the adrenals functioning and going good, then everything else will be better for you. Now, I don't want to stay on this subject too long because I know y'all came for legal, and I do have videos on this stuff that I can refer you to elsewhere, but it is important for y'all to know this stuff. And so just real quickly, some things that everybody can do to get healthier and stay healthy is the celery juice. In the morning, on an empty stomach, with nothing, not even water added to it, not even any supplements that you think are good for you. No turmeric, no honey, no, don't do anything to it. Just straight up celery juice in the morning on an empty stomach will go a long way to help. Also, minerals will go a long way to help. And then any detox that you can do. And keep in mind, anytime that you do start to do any kind of detox or parasite cleanse, which I recommend both, understand that as you begin to cleanse, things are going to fall right out of your liver and right down into your kidneys. Okay. So be prepared to all of a sudden have, urgency, or maybe a dull low back pain, or the bladder, you feel the bladder having urgency or burning or something. Just know you're dropping those toxins, and do some cranberry.
Okay.
So, these are some things that are just kind of real basic. I know Susie asked me the other day on the phone, what's some like basic stuff. This is like as basic as you can get. It's recommended that people do about 16 ounces of celery juice in the morning, which is a head, the average about a head. But if you're having health challenges, I would recommend you start with a much lower dose, because when I started, I took my first time, I did only 6 to 8 ounces maybe, and went straight to bed for 3 days.
Oh.
I woke up and I went, whoa, that was not good. Let me do that again. And so I decided I'll try that again. And I was down in bed 3 days, got up again and went, wow, man. Okay, I guess third time's a charm. And went down again. And after about my fourth time, I only went to bed for 2 days. And that's when I knew, okay, these salts in this celery are doing something. And so from there, I continued. It's been over a year that I've been doing the celery juice, and I couldn't do it every day. And I built up, and now I'm pretty much almost at every day. But when you have these genetic disorders, remember, and I'm betting anybody who's here and knows they're in a spiritual battle and is doing this stuff and dealing with this, I'm guessing that, you have some issues. So anybody that's here and having health issues, understand that you may not be able to do a bunch of celery all at once. You may have to build up. And so it's taken me over a year. I've just now gotten built up, and barely able to do it on a daily, not quite yet. But you always have to pulse. No matter what it is, you will never be able to do anything daily. Not specific foods, not specific supplements, not specific drugs. Just because of the nature of your genetics. And I'm going to point you to some places where you can get the genetics actually tested to find out what you're breaking down and what you're not. Did somebody have a question?
I do. Actually, could you explain to these people what your background in nutraceuticals is, so they'll understand that you know what you're talking about?
Oh, well, like I said, I started in my teens. It's been my life's work. I had a very successful business in manufacturing nutritional supplements. I knew from a very early age that I was sick. I've been sick my whole life. A lot of people have the genetics, but they don't get the symptoms until later. I had them from birth. And so I've always studied natural health, and God's medicine is what I call it. And God has really given us everything we need.
Yes.
Now, every now and then, I'm not going to lie to anybody. If I'm, in a lot of pain. Last time I was in an ambulance, I recall clearly screaming for morphine. Okay.
Yeah.
uh, Actually, right now I'm taking a drug, but very seldom do I do that in my life. I can't remember. I guess the last time I did take a drug was when I had to have a surgery. Or I probably took some thyroid and maybe some hormones after that. But then I even switched to the all natural versions on those. So I'm just, I don't want to say I'm anti-drug. If you need drugs, take drugs. I'm for whatever works.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you better. But I can tell you that you can get a lot better by having the specific genetic test done, because, and this may be part of what Susie was asking about, because a lot of what I'm telling you is stuff that I had been saying for decades and nobody believed me. And it's just stuff that I just knew. For example, I knew that cancer was caused by what I call bugs. And when I say bugs, I guess I should change that to invaders, but I've just always called it bugs. But I include in that group viruses and funguses and bacterias and mycoplasmas and every manner of any parasites, any kind of invader that could be, in your body that doesn't need to be, or is in an amount that's too high for optimum health. And so I kept recognizing these things. Like one of the things I shared with Susie is how for years I fought with my family because I have a sister and a sister-in-law who are both RNs. And they kept telling me for years, the reason you're sick is because you won't take your thyroid every day. And I kept saying, I can't take my thyroid every day. It's not good for me. I will get sick. And they kept saying it doesn't work that way. And even my doctors I was fighting with and saying, look, this is what's happening to me. And they were saying, no, it doesn't work that way. And I was saying, yeah, it does. I don't care about what anybody else has told you, but I can tell you in my case, it works this way. And I can take a thyroid pill and 15 minutes later, I'm sick. And if I continue to take it, then I start, projectile vomiting and defecating blood. And it's a very scary, horrifying, painful thing to go through. Yeah. And so I tried to do what they said, but it just didn't work. And I kept saying, and I kept telling my doctor, this stuff is stacking up on my liver, and then it all hits me at once and I'm in trouble. And that's what's happening to our loved ones that snap off and go crazy or need drugs, like street drugs or alcohol. Their adrenals go down, and when they take that drug, it kicks in the adrenals so they can function better. And it also provides, sometimes depending on what they're taking, if it's, a lot of people are addicted to sugar, and so they'll be feeding the brain either sugar or, alcohol sugars. And the brain will be working on those alcohol sugars instead of on healthy fats, which is what the brain's supposed to be working on. So we got to get them converted over with the minerals and the healthy fats rather than the addictive substances and the bad foods that stack up on the liver and cause problems. And so once I kept observing this behavior, and then I was doing my research one day on autism. I was doing some research on autism, and they started talking about this genetic disorder, and I immediately went, hey, wow, that's my family. And none of us are diagnosed with autism, but I just recognized that we had this genetic disorder. I just knew it. And as I began to study, I found another genetic disorder. The first one I found was MTHFR. And even though I was looking at autism, I just knew it applied to my family. And then I found CBS. And I went, oh, I have CBS too. And I bet I have a handful of other ones. And I called my sister, who's an RN. And by now she has started listening to me because she's seen what I've been able to do with a few people, including her own self, who now she was bedridden and she didn't work for 20 years. And she is now, as of, about a month ago, back to work for the first time in 20 years on her. And so I had called her and said, look, we all have this genetic disorder, and I know I have at least these two and probably a handful more, and we need to do this genetic testing. And she wasn't buying it at first, but I said, I'm going to do it. And I did mine, and I came back with the test and went, see, I told you. And when I did that, she went, oh, wow. And then she got it, and she snapped, and she started studying. So now I got the RN looking at it and going, oh, wow, oh, my God, you've been right all these years. She immediately, and I've been telling her for decades, please don't take those psychiatric drugs. Please, you don't know what they're doing to your body. And I sent her tons of research and things to read, and she just wouldn't. And put her kids on them, and it was disastrous. And now she sees all that, and she's gotten off of those drugs, and she has a lot of physical injuries. So she has a lot of pain, but she even came off of most of her pain medicines.
Praise the Lord.
She is doing fantastically good. Then as soon as I started doing the research and found what I did, and then I found Strategene, and the Dr. Ben Lynch that runs Strategene researched MTHFR. He's the premier researcher of MTHFR. He's a genetic researcher, and that was his area, and he has MTHFR. And when I found him, one of the first things he said was, because I had found Strategene and didn't know anything about him. And Strategene is where we get some of your tests done. I'll tell you about that in a bit. But we're right at 30 minutes. I'm not going to go but another 10 minutes on this, and then we're going to switch over to law, if I even go 10 minutes. But anyway, I had found Strategene to get the testing, but I didn't know about the doctor. And so then when I found him, the first thing he said is, if you have this, you have to pulse your supplements and your food, because it will stack up on your liver and you will get toxic and blah, blah. And I went, And so then, of course, I showed my family that, and they went, wow, okay, Nannette really knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we should listen a little bit. And so I've had the blessing of being able to mentor and coach and be a buddy to my sister. And he has helped hundreds of people get well and get better. And so we all need to look at this data. Like I said, I will be showing y'all some links. I'll be showing you my channel where you can look at some videos. And some of the information I've given y'all tonight, I haven't even made videos on yet. You know, some of the spiritual stuff we talked about. And then another thing is GDMF, which if you have MTHR, you probably have GDMF, which is genetic disorders of methylation function. And that's just a term that I coined, meaning when you do your genetic testing, you'll see this proven out. If you have MTHFR, you probably have another couple of genetic anomalies, and so that's what that term means. So if you have MTHR, you're probably going to have a couple other, and so I put it all in a group and said GDMF, genetic disorders of methylation function. And so what you can do is go to 23andMe and get the health test. And that's going to cost you $200. They're going to give you your genetic test and your health test. And then you're going to take those raw data from your 23andMe health test, and you're going to upload that to Strategene, and he will instantly give you back what's called a methylation pathway. Now, when we have that methylation pathway, what that's going to show us is exactly, well, we're going to know first off what genetic anomalies you may have, and if they're single or double allele, which will be an indication of maybe how much trouble they might be giving you. And then methylation pathway will tell us what nutrients you're able to break down. And by having that data, it gives us the ability to know what foods and nutrients are good for you. Because every single person will be different. And no, I don't care who it is and how long they've studied nutrition. If they're not telling you what I'm telling you, then they may not be advising you on wellness for you. Because every person is different.
Yes.
I can't tell you what's good for you or what nutrients to take until I know your methylation pathway, and we look at, you know, if you have GDMF and how you have it. Because then we know what you're breaking down and what you can't. And I'll give you an example. Glutathione, very good for people with autism, very good for anybody who needs to detox, very good, pretty much for anybody. Who does not have GDMF? Because if you have GDMF, you may have a specific gene in there, that an anomaly that causes you not to be able to break down glutathione. So instead of making you better, it makes you more toxic.
Okay.
Builds up on your liver, causes you a problem. So then the other thing is like a good example. Okay, well, let's stick with glutathione for just a second and go ahead and finish that out. Okay, so glutathione breaks down into methionine. So I had discovered for myself that I couldn't take glutathione. Years ago, I discovered that. And so glutathione breaks down into methionine. And so I tried methionine, I couldn't break it down either. And I don't do well with SAMe, which is what methionine breaks down into. So I was like, wow, that's really an issue.
Yeah.
And I am probably the sickest of the sick. I have 22 anomalies. I think about 6 or 8 of those are double allele. And the anomalies that I have that are double allele, I have about 4 of them, which when you look at the nutrients, I can't break down and the foods that those are in. My list of foods includes meats, grains, dairies, most vegetables, most fruits, including stone fruits, berries, and nuts. What am I going to eat?
Yeah.
Which is why sometimes and I can't break down methyls, which is all your leafy greens, anything green, really green. Greens, I can't break those down. I have to limit my methyl B12, things like that. So, you know, some of the B vitamins. So, so it depends on the individual, because if I eat leafy green salads every day, I go into seizures. And that can lead to coma. But if I take leafy green salads and eat a bunch of B vitamins, methyl B12, I could go into seizures and coma. So nobody can tell you what's a good diet for you until they have your genetic report. Because if you ain't breaking it down, and this is what I had to convince my sister of, because, you know, being an RN, She wanted to eat salad, okay, well, I have a genetic problem. I want to get healthy. I need to eat salads. And I said, no, honey, you're not breaking those down. So why are you doing that every day? And when she felt better.
Right. Yeah.
So some of that food you can have sometimes, not always. But it's real important to, treat your health very individually if you are experiencing serious health challenges. So
yes.
I will point y'all to videos, and if you want to talk more about it later, I open up for questions. Everybody, you can unmute yourself at any time that you have a question or want to talk. And we can circle back around to this later, but I do know you all came for some law questions, so we're long overdue on that, and I'll go ahead and get to that, unless anybody has any questions or objections.
No, I don't. I will just wait for the links and stuff you're gonna send about this 23 and then get your breakdown of individual, yourself.
You go to 23andMe and you order the health and genetic kit.
Oh, okay.
It's $200. And then you take that and you upload it to Strategene, and Strategene is $50, and they'll give you your methylation pathway. Once you have that, if you want to bring that to me, because they can be kind of hard to read for new people. So if you want to send me your methylation pathway, I can tell you what foods you can't break down, what nutrients, what I can tell you what it's saying, because it can be pretty complicated to read for.
I would think so if you've never done it before. Yeah.
Of course, Dr. Lynch thinks it's easy to read, but this Dr. Lynch, so we don't get it. But we spent a lot of time understanding it, and so anyway, we can match you up with, and then you can go through the list of foods we give you and nutrients we give you, and you can, from your own experience, say, well, I've been able to eat that one and kind of get away with it, or yeah, definitely I need to stay away from this one because I've observed before that, it bothers me. So then you have confirmation.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, let's go ahead and go into some law basics. Now, the thing you need to understand is that, again, we're talking here to people who are having to or choose to represent themselves. If you have legal issues, you should consult an attorney, because I'm a lay person, and I'm only sharing LayLaw with you and research that I have found. But hopefully from my last 40 minutes, you'll understand I'm a pretty good researcher.
Yes, absolutely.
Also, from my experiences in the courts the last few years, I've learned a lot from, a lot of what not to do and a lot of what I should have done. But anyway, first thing you need to understand is that I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm going to give y'all some resources, because that's going to be super important if you're trying to represent yourself in any kind of case or figure out what's going on, or even just study for the fun of studying. This right here, everybody can see my screen, right?
Yes.
So this right here is going to be your first good research, because the internet and Google will tell you just about anything, or whatever search engine you use. There's probably some better ones. And by the way, this isn't only a class. but this is a sharing forum. So anybody that knows anything that I don't know or has something to contribute is welcome to chime in at any time. I am no expert. I'm no lawyer. And like I said, I'm just struggling along too. So if anybody has some information they want to share, y'all feel free to jump in and chime in at any time. But Google is a real good resource. And the good thing about Google is if you've like heard something about a law, but you don't know what it is, a lot of times you can just Google the term that you heard and it'll come up with something. Like the court sent me a paper and said, who are the real parties at interest in this case? And so I just went to Google and typed in real party at interest, and it corrected me, because I always say at. Regina's caught me before too. And that's another good thing about Google, is it'll correct you, because I said real party at interest, even though I think the court asked me who were the real parties in interest. And so you can Google it, and then you can look at things like, always look at law dictionaries, because words in law can mean, you think you know what they mean, but they don't. Because in law, they mean something different, like the word person actually means corporation or entity or company. So, and a lot of time includes means it excludes anything that's not in there. So if you didn't specifically mention it, it's not included. And so it's good if you're dealing with law to always look at law dictionaries. And the best ones are Black's and Bouvier's. But then as backups, you have different ones on the internet. And then luckily there are some colleges who have done some things, and one of your best ones always is going to be, and it'll usually pop up near the top like it did here. One of your best ones is going to be this law.cornell.edu.
And Nannette, one of the first things I did when I found out that all of our courts are being held in statutory law, which I began reading, of course, our Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, our Constitution, and then I found online the Common Law Handbook, and because it says in our Constitution that our country only authorizes common law courts, or otherwise known as courts of record. And there are none of those that exist, because all of the courts are operating in the wrong jurisdiction, the admiralty law or the statutory law. And the common law handbook said any legislated statute enforced upon the people is fraud. So, it's these courts that are operating in a different jurisdiction than they're supposed to be. There's no common law courts.
That's right. And that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
And the reason we have that problem is because people aren't educated.
Right.
And we've let it get there. And so our challenge is to educate everybody, and we have to start with the basics. And one of the first things that I start everybody on is our founding legal documents, which are what? Does anybody know what our founding legal documents are?
Well, I mean, wouldn't that be our Constitution and Bill of Rights. I mean, that's pretty basic.
Yep, Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, Magna Carta. Those people need to know, because that's the foundation of it all, and you can't build a house without a good foundation. So if you want to learn about law, you got to start with the foundation, which is those documents. So that's why I started you and Susie on, you got to learn the Constitution and these other things. And I'm gonna direct everybody to that. I just wanted to show them first a few things about how to look up stuff and find stuff. And then I'm gonna actually share the links to that stuff, and I'm gonna share some other links to some videos that everybody can watch that'll give them some really fast, quick legal information. And then I'm gonna give them some news about the stuff that I have coming, that I'll be studying, and So back to Cornell. Cornell, a lot of times, even when it didn't on that one for some reason, but a lot of times when you type in a term and you click on Cornell, it'll take you to a specific statute. And so just to illustrate a point this morning, on that, I want to show y'all a couple statutes that will be very of interest to you. And I'm going to talk to you about how I have and how I'm going to continue to use these. And the first one, I'm going to open this in a new tab because I'm going to open another one. And then we'll go over both of them at the same time.
Okay.
Oh, what am I doing? Learn to type, sister. Okay. All right. We'll go over here. This is why this Cornell is so great, because it's going to show us the actual code here, give us references. So just for fun, just to show y'all how to look up codes, I'm going to share with y'all today 31 USC 3124, which is one of my favorite codes. And this code is called exemption from taxation. Now, it says right here, stocks and obligations of the United States government are exempt from taxation by a state or a political subdivision of a state. The exemption applies to each form of taxation that would require the obligation, the interest on the obligation, or both to be considered in computing a tax, except for a franchise tax or an estate tax, which none of us are dealing with any of these right now, hopefully. You don't have inheritance tax you're dealing with. Anyway, so we don't have to worry about those exemptions for the normal situation. And so it says here that stocks and obligations of the United States government are exempt from taxation by a state or a political subdivision of a state. So that makes you wonder, what's a stock or an obligation of the United States? So you can Google it, and you would find 18 USC 8, obligation or other security of the United States defined. Okay, let's see what an obligation or other security of the United States is. The term obligation or other security of the United States includes all bonds, certificates of indebtedness, national bank currency, Federal Reserve notes. Whoops, wait a minute. Hold on. Federal Reserve notes. What did it say? So let's replace this with Federal Reserve notes are exempt from taxation by a state or political subdivision of a state if that form of taxation would require the obligation, the interest on the obligation, or both to be considered in computing a tax. So if it would require Federal Reserve notes, the interest on Federal Reserve notes, or both to be considered in computing a tax. Wait, y'all get that?
Yeah. The
Isn't
Federal
that
Reserve.
interesting?
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, go ahead.
what could this apply to?
The debt notes that we have?
Well, these two codes I'm sharing with you, can anybody tell me what it would apply to? Unmute yourself and tell me, anybody, what this would apply to. If Federal Reserve notes are exempt from taxation by state or a political subdivision of a state, what would that apply to?
Is that not our money?
Well, I'm asking what tax it would apply to. Would anything by the state or a political subdivision of a state would mean all your property taxes, school taxes, sales taxes, anything the state taxes you on. If they use Federal Reserve notes to calculate that tax or even to calculate the interest on that tax, it is, what does it say up here?
Exempt. Right?
So we can all see right now that knowing the law is very important.
Yes.
Knowing the codes are very important. And it's going to be up to each individual to study and learn and know them yourself. Nobody can study your stuff for you. You got to do your own study. We can point you in directions and stuff like that, but if you're fighting a case, you got to fight your own case, because not me or none of my friends are lawyers.
Right. But
I don't have a lawyer friend one.
No.
Take that back. But
yeah, because we all get tax statements, on our property. We all get property tax bills that they want us to pay.
Yeah, and they want you to pay it in Federal Reserve notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it says here those are exempt.
Right. And not only are those exempt, but let's finish just for fun reading this, and then I'll go on and show y'all some other resources and some great videos and stuff.
Okay.
That aren't me, that are other people that are absolutely genius. I'm going to show y'all experts. I told you I'm not one, but I'll take y'all to some. Okay. So here we have, let's finish this up. So we got obligation or other security of the United States includes bonds, certificates of indebtedness, national bank currency, Federal Reserve notes, Federal Reserve bank notes, coupons. That's weird, huh? United States notes, Treasury notes, gold certificates, silver certificates, fractional notes, certificates of deposit, bills,
yeah,
or
bills
drafts
like
for money.
electricity and water bills.
Yeah. Or drafts for money drawn by or upon authorized officers of the United States. Now, whatever Federal Reserve note signed with, right on its face, the Secretary of Treasury's signatures on every Federal Reserve note you have in your pocket.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So I would say that was drawn upon or authorized by officers of the United States.
I would say so.
And authorized. See, this whole thing bears much more study. This is a bigger gem than anybody has realized yet. I swear it. There is so much in here that it's unreal, the meaning of this one paragraph here.
Yeah.
And particularly when you start getting into studying, what are bills and checks and drafts for money and the stamps, huh? And and canceled U.S. stamps. So Yeah, there's a lot of interest here, but anyway, just to share that with you. Now, so we talked about legal dictionaries, particularly Blacks and Bouvier's. If you go on Google, anytime you can get definitions from those dictionaries. And I would suggest, if you're doing your own law, anytime you're using any word, even if you think you understand it, I think you need to go and actually look it up, and I'll tell you why.
I, as a rule, use Black's Law Dictionary, either the 10th edition or I think there's an 11th edition out now, because words in law have a different meaning than what you think they might mean.
Absolutely.
You know, I just recently learned that, you know, unless you're an employee of the government, you're not a person or a citizen or a resident.
Right. Yes, you can be a U.S. national or a state citizen and not a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
And a U.S. national has more sovereign right than a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen is actually restrictive, whereas a U.S. national is not. And so correcting status is important.
Yes, so that's what is that's what status is if you're a state national or a U.S. national, and can you be both, or does it have to be one or the other?
No, you can be both.
Okay.
It can depend on what purpose it's for.
Okay.
For
yeah.
some reasons, I'm a state citizen, and state national, and for some things, well, you can even say state citizen, but national is a better word. I'm in the Republic of Texas, so I'm actually a national of another country, while also being a U.S. national.
Yeah. Okay. So we're both. So we're a state national and a U.S. national, but
Right.
we're in the Republic of Texas. And I guess everybody here lives in Texas.
Because, well, even the states are state nations. States
Yes.
of the United States of America are nation states. They're state
Nation
nations.
states.
So even
Yes.
if you're not in the Republic of Texas, you're still going to be, like, you could be a state national or you could be a U.S. national. But just to point out real quickly why it's important to always look up the words, here we have U.S. Code 1. This is the very first of the U.S. Code, 1 U.S.C. 1. And it says right here, in determining the meaning of any act of Congress, unless the context indicates otherwise, words meaning singular include and apply to several persons, parties, or things. Words importing the plural include the singular. Words importing masculine gender include the feminine. Words used in the present tense include the future, as well as the present.
Yeah.
So, you see what I'm saying? They could really trick you up.
Yes.
If you don't
know.
You're thinking you're talking about right now, and they're talking about, no, down the road in the future.
Yes.
Uh-oh. So, it's very important to get these guys to clarify the meanings of their words. And I'm going to give you a super good teacher right now to help you do that. Genius named Carrie Zolman. See this video?
Yeah.
Now, we can also share with you some other videos of his. Well, I'll take you there in a second. But anyway, okay, so the reason I want y'all to study and to listen to Carrie Zolman is because Carrie Zolman has a mind like no other on this planet. Mm-hmm. And if you can listen to him over and over and over and start to get the think, like any study, I guess it takes everybody a different amount of time to do that. It's taken me a little while of listening over and over and over to his calls and him saying the same things over and over. And then just one day, bang, the light bulb went on. And I went into a meeting with these attorneys and I started doing what Carrie told me to do. And just for fun, they started questioning me about, this was my own attorney, okay? And I had hired him to do one little thing on one little case to get me a temporary restraining order against a judgment. And that's the only thing I'd hired him for. But I had this other federal case going and he happened to ask me about it. And so I figured it'd be a good opportunity. And so I started discussing it with him. And I started thinking in the way Carrie Zolman would think. And these guys were, they're attorneys. They're trying to question me out and see what this case is about. And so they start asking me about it, and I start answering them in ways that Carrie Zolman would, in which I'm answering them, but they couldn't wrap their head around it. And
right. You were answering them in a way they did not expect.
Right, which is what they always do to us and get us flustered and we don't know what to say, right?
Yeah.
And we're rubbing our forehead and we look distressed and we're putting our hands to our face. We can't think. We're covering our face. We're rubbing our eyes. We're trying to figure out what to do. And I'm literally sitting here watching these attorneys do this in front of me and melt down. And they were going, but there was nothing they could say to any of my arguments. And it happened to be on a tax suit. And we were talking about 18.8 and 31.24. And they were saying, well, why does this apply to you? I said, it doesn't.
Yeah.
They just rub their forehead. Well, now, why do you think that you can use this? I said, because it's the law. Now, why are you saying that you don't have to pay? I said, I'm not. The law is. It's right there.
Yes. It's not me saying it. It's the law saying it.
Yeah. And I was just super calm. And it's only because of Carrie Zolman's training that I didn't get nervous. I didn't get flustered. Now, it may be different for me in a court of law. And the one, that ties back into our health issues because they know that stress makes us sick and the stress feeds the stress and the illness. They both feed off each other. And so they intentionally try to make you stressed. So it's very important to study people that will make you feel confident and give you a way to think and a way to answer that will be beneficial to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have not watched him yet. I was still on the Cornforth videos, but I've yet to watch Carrie Zolman. I look forward to listening to him.
Yeah, and I'm going to show them those videos too.
You'll like him. He's very good.
Yeah. Have you listened to Zolman, Susie?
Both of them? Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of doing one and then doing the next, and then depending on what I'm doing during the day, because as y'all well know, I have to listen to it as I'm doing other things and then go back and take notes or I don't absorb any of it.
Right.
So
yeah, me too.
I am in the process of listening to Carrie as I'm working. And then I'll sit down specifically to take notes. And that's what I did for. I listened to all his, and now I'm taking the specific notes.
Yes, that's a good way. That's how I do it too. I listen and then go back and take notes.
Yeah.
When I listen to it over and over, I get all the notes. I have to pause the video so I can get it written down.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't learn that way. If I do that in the beginning, I'll get nothing.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. Me too. You kind of have to listen to it first to get it, get your mind in the right way.
If I listen to it as I'm working or doing something else, I'm going, oh, That's a good one to take notes on later.
Yeah, yeah, later.
Yeah,
Yes.
so Carrie will help you start to talk and think and question like a lawyer so that you're not the only one flustered up there and you end up being very calm and they end up being flustered.
Yes, and when we're confident, we can. Now, is Kerry Zolman? Does he have a YouTube channel of his own? Is that the channel name?
No, I'm gonna show you. Okay, this is one that you can kind of find, and then but see, we're gonna go to the Republic of Texas channel, and then we're gonna go to videos right here. Okay, this is on YouTube, everybody, and we're going to go to Republic of Texas channel, and then we're going to go to videos. And then you're going to see these jurisdiction conference calls.
Yeah.
Gary will be on most of those. It says jurisdiction conference call. Then that's probably going to be Carrie Zolman.
Okay.
And so look for all the jurisdiction because that is Carrie Zolman's specialty. Now, when you listen to Carrie Zolman, he's going to talk mainly about IRS tax issues. And he helps mainly with those issues, but he'll help and answer questions on anything. But that's his specialty, and he sticks with jurisdiction. And so you can find out about getting on these jurisdiction calls and you can join in on them, but they are mainly talking about IRS tax debt.
Tax law, okay.
But it's good to be able to learn the skill that Carrie has on how he deals with them in court, people in court. And
style,
yes, and so it's very important if you want to gain confidence and if you want to understand the games these guys play on you in court and how to deal with that. He is a very important one to study and learn. Now, my tabs are being obstructed, my view, so let me see. No. How I can get to... Okay, now, the next one you want to study is this guy right here. Absolute genius. His name is Richard Cornforth, and I think Susie and Regina both will tell you how smart this guy is, right?
Love this guy, yes. Absolutely love him. And he puts it in terms that we normal people can understand.
Right. Yes. And he has access to some cases that you know maybe we don't for reasons that I'm going to get to in this call here in this meeting right now. But this guy has been successful many times, and he keeps you away from silly stuff that will get you messed up. There's a lot of patriot stuff out there. A lot of people doing LayLaw, and they will tell you silly papers to file and silly things to say. Like some people I know, when they first started out, they were putting in all their paper. I'm a widow's son, because it was supposed to be some Masonic thing that if you put in your papers, all your stuff will magically be okay, and it wasn't. And so these people had to learn the hard way, and over the years, I've seen them develop and learn and get better and get away from that stuff. But cut through all that straight away and go to this guy and learn the right way to do it without all that patriot mythology, weird stuff. 10 pages of declaring you're sovereign and then your name is with colon, hyphen, space, whatever, that the courts really don't care.
Mostly is, in the corporate courtroom, they deal with your all caps name, which is they're calling your straw man name, and that's how they get by with it, is because they're going by, our straw man name, and that's how they can do that in
exactly what
the
you
course
said,
of
Regina. Exactly what you said before is that these are not common law courts. These are
right, and like he's got on the white on his sheet right there, Mr. Cornforth. The courts of inferior jurisdiction. Well, that's all of them, because if they're not common law courts, they're courts of inferior jurisdiction.
Right, and again, like you said, they're not constitutional courts. So you can go in there and say anything constitutional you want to, and wave your hands and scream sovereignty and talk about the flag and admiralty and not cross the bar and all that. And it isn't going to matter to them, because they're not a common law court, and they're not going to recognize it, and they don't care. And so you better go in there knowing how they operate.
Yes.
Or you're going to get whipped. And so a really good one to build your, not only teach you, some about how the courts operate in law, but to build your confidence too, is to listen to Cornforth, this guy right here. So there's 3 videos here. This is apparently somebody's channel named Joel Akira.
I've noticed that.
Okay, and it's got the 3 videos, but you might be able to just look for secrets of the legal industry, and then you got part 1, 2, and 3, and y'all can find this video. And if you need a link, you can get a hold of Susie or Regina, because like they said, they've both looked at these, so they can send you links if you can't pull them up.
Yeah.
But
the other thing people don't understand is when we hire an attorney, we're paying them to represent the court, not us.
Right.
It absolutely blew my mind. I had no idea, why am I wasting money on somebody who's not representing me? But it explains everything that we've been through.
Exactly.
Yes, because they are foreign agents. They're working for the foreign court.
Exactly. And that's what I shared with y'all before. I think I might have some stuff pulled up. Yeah. This is what I shared with Susie and Regina before about foreign agent registration. One thing that you can do, and Susie and Regina have templates they can send you where you can request judges and attorneys and prosecutors foreign agent registrations. I gave them templates to request those from the Attorney General, and they are required to have them, and they usually don't. So that's one thing you can do is look for their foreign agent registrations. They also have to have an anti-bribery statement and a privacy statement, and they never have any of this stuff. And also something else that Regina and I discussed is if you're dealing with legal issues as far as like warrants or them coming after people supposedly criminally, their warrants are always defective on their face. Always, always, always. They never ever have a proper correct warrant. But trying to get, and this is another problem with hiring an attorney, this is why I can't do it. They won't even make these arguments, even though they should.
They refuse to do it. When you tell them to do it, they refuse. Even though you're paying them to so-called represent you, they will not do this. But they know they're effective as well.
And in the criminal courts, I don't know about the other, but when you hire an attorney or even a court-appointed attorney, you automatically become a ward of the state.
Right, you become a ward of the court. That's right. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. So why would you want to, I've told my son to fire his court-appointed attorney, and since I did the power of attorney and got it signed and notarized, I will you know, I guess I'll have to handle all of his legal things.
I don't know that the court will let you.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's why I told you still, he has to, you've got to print stuff for him and give it to him and, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, y'all can try, but what I'm saying is the courts operate so illegally. I mean, you have a right to counsel. It doesn't say you have a right to a bar-appointed attorney. It says you have a right to counsel. I should be able to counsel with anybody I want to, but these courts try not to let people. So, I mean, if he wants to represent himself and he doesn't want to have an attorney anymore, which is kind of what you and I talked about the first time we talked on the phone, because you were saying they were railroading him or whatever. You didn't think they were going to do him a good job.
No, not at all. I mean, the attorneys are against them because they're for the court. They want to get paid, you know, through the banking industry or whatever.
Right. So, you know, you can try, and I mean, I'm trying it right now in a friend of mine's case that's in jail. I'm trying to file documents for him, and I'm also sending him documents to try to file in, and all I know to do is to try to do everything you can do. And one of the important things Carrie Zolman tells me on the phone all the time is, you know, Nannette, what's the rules in a bar fight? Well, this one he's only told me once, but the others he tells me over and over. But he said, Nannette, what's the rules in a bar fight? And I said, kick ass. That's the only rules I know in a bar fight. And he said, exactly. You use anything you've got. Bottles, chairs, tables, walls, your knee, your foot, your hand. You throw out whatever you've got. And so that's what a lot of us do. We're, you know, we're trying everything, and we know a lot of what doesn't work and a lot of what does. And people like Cornforth have been doing it a lot longer than me. I just found him. I wish I'd have found him a couple years ago. So, you know, I doubt I'd have gone through what I've gone through in the last several years had I found his stuff.
Yes, but thank God you found him now.
Exactly.
Well, and aren't you now working directly with him?
Yes, that's the good news I was going to tell everybody is that I found him and ordered materials, and he had offered to work with me personally and mentor me. A lot of times, and this is another reason it's important for you guys to study. I'm going to tell you, if you don't know anything and you try to get help from somebody, they are not going to want to help you. You got to know something. And that's why I'm pointing you to the best information that I've got that you can get had it up the quickest is first how to look up things. Look up things. That's your best way to learn anything is look it up and clear your words in the legal dictionary. Every word you read, clear it in the legal dictionary, and clear it also in the section of law that you're reading, because a lot of them have definitions within that section of law. Just like in 1 USC 1, it said, unless it says otherwise. So every section of law you look at, you have to go to the beginning of that section and look at the definitions. And then you have to look up those words in the law dictionaries. And then you even have to question them in court. What do you mean by that word? What do you mean exactly? And Carrie Zolman will train you a lot on how to do that. And then Richard Cornforth will train you in how to use the law properly in a court of law and not go in there and do stupid things that will make them eat you for lunch. And then it's up to every individual to study all the law that pertains to your type of case. Now, if you do that and you learn stuff, then people will be willing to help you. I promise you that when he answered me, when he talked to me on the phone and he saw what I had done, that I've already actually been fighting in court, that I've actually filed filings and filed lawsuits and defended lawsuits, and I know some law, then he was like, okay, I'll help you, because he knows it'll be easy on him. He cannot fix ignorant.
Yeah, right. He can't.
You can't waste your time on people who haven't already started something.
Right.
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 He can't teach and educate you too. You have to have your education in that matter before you can be taught about it.
Right. And that's the way a lot of them are. And I mean, I don't know anybody out there that's sharing the amount of data I have in the particular sets of data that I'm sharing.
I haven't done that.
I know anybody that's sharing information that I'm sharing is charging money for it.
If they are, and a lot of it.
Yeah. High dollar, real high dollar.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to point everybody to the fastest ways to learn about law, get your head on straight, and get your think proper to deal with these criminal crackhead nut job baboons in the courts. And these are the so I've got resources. I probably won't have time today to share all of the resources with you, but I'm giving y'all some very good places to start. Susie, Regina, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Can I interject for just a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to go just briefly back to the foreign agent registry.
Mm-hmm.
Something that Nannette told me that I didn't know is not only the judges and attorneys involved in our cases, but any public servants, such as police officers, that were involved in our cases also we need to get the information on them as well. So we do a FOIA on all of those folks involved in each one of our cases. And none of them are going to have everything they're supposed to have. Therefore, they're in trouble.
Okay.
It's their lap instead of in ours. Am I correct in that?
Is that right, Nannette? Where'd she go? So, Susie, since I haven't sent my FOIA off yet, I named the prosecutor, the judge, and the couple of attorneys. So you say I should add like the arresting.
Yes, that's correct. I'm sorry. I could hear y'all. I was just across the room. I couldn't answer. But
okay.
That was correct. All public servants. You'll find it in the code. As you start to read and study that code, you'll find it that all public servants are foreign agents. Now, real quick, and then Regina, I'm going to let you get back to your question you had there. But real quick, why would all public servants be foreign agents?
Yeah.
Well, you have to know what the United States is.
Yeah, it's the corporation.
Mm-hmm. And you have to know what this state is. A lot of times in the codes, it'll say this state. So that's why I'm saying every single word is important, because the United States is only 10 miles square of Washington, D.C. Look it up.
Yeah.
And so we're not in there. I'm not in 10 miles square of Washington, D.C. I'm in the Republic of Texas, way over here.
Right.
So, yeah. Go ahead, Regina. You were talking about your FOIA and who you included.
Yes, I did the down in the body of it where you list who you want this information from. Is I've got the judge, the prosecutor, the two attorneys, but you're saying we could add the public servant, which would be the arresting officer, but he is not going to have a bar number. So what we just list?
No, he's got a badge number.
Oh, okay. So use the badge number. Okay. All right. Okay, good. Okay.
What every American is going to have to do if we're going to be free of this satanic slave system,
Yeah.
is to take responsibility and to learn the law and to engage these guys and just say we're not gonna let you take away our God-given rights, because you have a constitution that restricts you from doing so.
Yes.
That's another thing why everybody needs to study the Constitution. I mean, when I was engaging with that attorney after being trained by Carrie Zollman, he mentioned the Constitution, and I said, it doesn't apply to me. And he said, what do you mean? You're not American? And I said, well, no, didn't you study the Constitution in law school? Oh, yeah, we studied the Constitution. And I said, well, then you would know that the Constitution was written for the government and restricts the government and has nothing to do with the people.
With the private, yes, we the people.
Yeah.
And all political power is inherent in the people.
Yeah, and I said, you must know that the Constitution doesn't give us rights. It only enumerates rights and sets forth how the government is restricted from doing anything other than what privileges we've granted it.
Yes, by the people.
Right, and they had it completely reversed, and so do the courts, and so that's how we know it's satanic, because everything's reversed, right?
Yes, counterfeit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So, anyway, Cornford is another good one, and then I want you guys to also check into this right here, law.resource.org. When you go to law.resource.org, right here on the front page is this 20-minute video called Show Me the Manual. Okay? Now, I want you guys to to watch this 20-minute video, because they'll show you how I think what needs to happen is a lot of us involved in cases and things like that need to get more involved in open access. And that's what law.resource.org is. It's a part of, no, I think I went straight here. It's a part of here. Oh, I misspelled it. Is it not going? Uh-oh, I just lost power. Am I back?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The power went out and then came back on, kicked me off.
Oh, no.
Everybody?
We're still here.
We're still here.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Give me 1 second. My alarm's going off because the power went out and came back on. Let it go.
Well, no, that makes sense to me, Susie, just to include, for now, the arresting officer and his badge number. Even though he works for the sheriff, the sheriff will be made aware of this, I'm sure.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Is everybody here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes.
Sorry. I had craziness going on. Did it mute for y'all so y'all could talk?
Susie and I were talking while you were away.
Okay. All right, good. So, sorry. Okay, where are we? Anybody have any questions so far?
No, I'm still working on my FOIA. I think Susie got her original sent off to the Attorney General. And did you that, Susie, it does go to the Attorney General and not the Secretary of State?
It is the Attorney General. Read the code. Read the code.
Yes, I did, and it says Attorney General.
Yeah, and that should always be our answer. If you can direct somebody to the law or a resource, then go ahead and do that, because we're not lawyers. We can't interpret the law, but, you can go read the law on your own, and you can look in Black's Law and see what the words mean, So, and that's how you get educated. So I wanted to show everybody, you know, how easy it was to find things. Now, what you won't find, and let me get back over here to our stuff. Wait, am I screen sharing?
Not yet.
Hold on. Let me go back and screen share. Hold on. Share. Okay. So, what's not available to us and what has been kind of messing us up in the courts that Richard Cornforth was able to find out is that, and the reason I'm having y'all look at open access stuff and law.resource.org is because everybody needs to be aware of this so you can spread this information and we can fix this problem. Problem is that the law is supposed to be part of the public domain, but they don't give us access to it. So the whole public access issue is about the public having access to the public domain. In other words, our legal scholarly journals, and our, for example, in that 20-minute video, you'll see that municipalities actually have to pay for the codes that they have to follow to do their jobs, and sometimes they can be $30,000. And then if you want to fight a case, you need to have Supreme Court rulings to cite, and you find them. They're not available to us without spending tons and tons of money, thousands of dollars. And so it makes it very hard for the layperson to fight their own case or operate in the law because we don't have the same access to information that the attorneys have. So the attorney will always beat you on their argument because they have the latest Supreme Court rulings, and it will always trump whatever you've got in your hand unless you get copies of those, and those are called the state and federal annotated, and that's what Cornforth will teach you about. And then I said, I was fortunate that I have some of his materials coming, and then so I'll get a hold of some documents and some cases, and then he's also agreed to help me. And so, of course, everything that I learn, I continue to, pass on to other people.
Yes, and don't you think that was their plan? The plan of the enemy all along was to conceal it from us.
Absolutely, and I'm going to show you something else right here. We'll go right here and I'll show you something else everybody should watch. This is homework. Everything I'm telling y'all, you want to stay in this class, you got to do homework. So, Terry Zolman, Richard Cornforth, and Aaron Schwartz. Everybody, I want you to watch this movie right here. It's called The Internet's Own Boy. This is going to explain to us part of the problem that we're dealing with and what this young man did to solve it. And unfortunately, they murdered him. And I think everybody realizes that now. At first, maybe some of his people around him were in shock and, were saying that he committed suicide. I never believed that for not a hot second. This boy had political plans, political designs, and he had magic powers, and he was determined to use them to make the world a better place. So that's
exactly why they killed him.
Yeah, so nobody can convince me that he killed himself.
No. I started that movie yesterday and got about halfway through and had to stop. So, a very talented, special guy he was.
Everybody who's trying to expose this, all the high-profile people are suiciding.
Yeah.
Come on. And the way they're doing it, they're making it obvious to everyone that they didn't do it, but...
Yeah. Look at how many people we have suicided with 2 bullets in the head, or Phil Schneider, who strangled himself to death sitting in a chair.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I mean, come on, strangled and shot himself. I think I can't remember. There's been
yeah,
shot themselves with the opposite hand than they are. Like if you're right-handed, you shot yourself with the left hand. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Another thing that we need to be, you know, aware of is their cancer weapons, and they very intentionally use them. I've known people that were targeted with massive, fast-acting cancers. So another reason it's important to watch my videos on health, because there'll be some stuff there that you don't get anywhere else. And I've got, like I said, a few I still need to upload, but the problem is they keep us, whatever your mission is, they're going to keep you busy with something else. So they've been keeping me real busy in court so that I can't make my videos. And if I had a producer or some tech people nearby that could help me, that would help tremendously in getting the information out.
Yes.
And that's what we need to do. We've got to share this information, and we've got to share it for free, and we've got to share it fast, because we've got to get more and more people involved in taking control of this country again. And this is where we
Yeah. Yes. So you have nobody near you, Nannette, that could assist you with those types of things?
I don't. I don't.
Technical. Okay.
No, and that's what I need is tech producers to help produce videos. I've got lots of great equipment. I've got lots of great domains. I've got some great channels. What I don't have is tech people to help me produce this stuff. I've got lots of content, tons of content, but I need people to help me produce it. It's not easy, and takes a long time and a lot of hard work, and I can only do so much. And like I said, anybody that's trying to do anything, they keep you busy with something else, so they're keeping
something
that's above my grade, or I would help.
Yeah, distracted. It's above mine too, or I would offer to help too. Need a younger person, I guess, that is a little more computer savvy.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, we just keep putting out information to help people, and hopefully somebody will come along to help us.
Yes, I believe that.
And, you know, we'll just continue to share resources. And, you know, I've got another girl that, you know, if you need a little more help writing papers, you know, she can help you. She charges. But with her, like everybody, the more you know, the more you'll get out of her, the faster. And so, and usually, well, I mean, there's a lot of people out there cheating people, but sometimes, you know, if you do have to pay somebody, the more you know, the cheaper it'll be, because the less you'll need.
Right.
And if you contribute to them, they'll give back to you for free. Like, you know, one of my best girls, she, it started out her charging me to teach me some stuff, because I was engaged in cases and wasn't prepared for it. And I started learning from her, but then I started sharing back with her so much that she stopped charging me. And now we're, you know, we became equals, and I'm starting to surpass her in knowledge. I have surpassed her in knowledge, but then I share it all with her. So, we're even. But,
that's good.
Yeah, but this is what we have to do. So anybody got any questions so far?
No. I mean, I'm still working on my FOIA. I have to, you know, without a computer, I have to find a place to type it up. It won't fit. If I handwrite it, it won't fit on notebook paper, even though that's what I did the power of attorney on, and that worked out fine. But the FOIA is a little longer, and I just have to find a place to get it typed up.
Hey, Gina. let's get together on this, and I can type it on my end and send it to you.
Oh, okay. Oh, that would be great, Susie, because I have limited resources here. I have a public library, but of course, it's closed on the weekends, and so I'm just really limited. I don't have any friends with a computer right now, so.
Well, you live in a that's the problem of that, but then you have the luxury of not having to deal with all the stuff we're dealing with too, so.
Yeah.
I don't have easy access to these things. So yeah, just let me know, and we'll put all that together, because it's basically at this point a plug and play.
Oh, okay, great. Yes, I have it all written up, but I just haven't got it typed up yet. So
now, we'll just do it all over the phone, and I'll plug and play it for you.
Oh, okay.
While we're discussing that, there are documents that I have sent Susie that other people can get from her. If you'll contact Susie, she can send you some documents, or you can contact me either way. But that is what we want to do. We want to kind of do a plug and play thing where everybody can have and use the documents. And
yes.
One thing I do for everybody to know, if you start writing your own legal papers, I don't know how far along anybody is in doing any of this stuff, but if you start to do a document, the way I always do it is I pick a document that already has the right court and case number, and then I turn everything on that page red, or on that whole document red. And then I go back, and anything that's correct, I change it to black. And then when I can get my whole document black, because every single word I've gone through and is correct, then I print it out. And so that's one of the best ways to do your documents, to make sure that you don't make any mistakes. Especially if you're using somebody else's template, or, one of your own templates, which is the best way to do it, is to, why keep doing the work over? Just use templates. But in order to be effective, you need to have a good way to watch for mistakes, and for me that works. Now, I also sent Susie a mail log.
Yes, I got a picture.
Yeah, if you're doing your own legal, having a mail log will be lots of help. Now, I did mine in Word because I was just being stupid, I guess. But I guess anybody could copy that style of template and do one in Excel would probably be easier. And then I put two different colors, anything I received in red and anything I sent in black. And then I kept a running list of my postal expenses and other expenses, and that way it's real quick to just refer to that mail log to see when you sent something, rather than flipping through all of your papers.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to keep track of your case, your tracking numbers, your papers, when things were sent, who received them, what comments you have on that. It's so that mail log can be a really valuable resource.
Yes.
And then what were some other resources we had for people? It seems like there was to start learning the Constitution. To learn the Constitution, let's see if we can get Michael. Here we go. Right there, pulled up, first thing. Here's a good constitutional class. I know this guy. He wrote the book, It's Good to Be King. He's done lots of interviews. I used to have a bumper sticker of him on my car that said, if the First Amendment doesn't work, the second one will.
Yeah. I couldn't make out his name, Michael, what was the last name?
Badnarik, Badnarik.
Okay. Badnarik. Okay. Will it be under his name?
Yeah, I just went to YouTube and typed in Michael Badnarik, and the first thing that popped up was somebody else's channel, and it said Michael Badnarik Constitution class complete, and it's 6 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay. Complete. Okay. Yeah, I had gotten, went to, I think, a printable Constitution online and then just had it printed along, excuse me, along with the Bill of Rights. So I've got a copy of that, and I mailed a copy to my son.
When's the
in
next
jail
time
that he could.
Dina?
Pardon?
When is the next time you're going to be in town? I've got something I'll give you a copy for you and your son.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I'm not sure. I don't have any plans as of right now.
We've only been able to just scratch the surface of every subject we've touched today.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That's what I wanted to do, is just a basic introduction, some basic things, get people started studying, get them onto some teachers that can teach them, get Susie and Regina to start sharing information and documents, and they've done a great job today to help out. If they can get documents to everybody, that'd be great. And then, we can start to look at individual cases, and, you guys can also join in on some of these other calls and, ask questions there. And, you can, let me show you, see if we can get my channel so people can get their health videos, because I promised that if anybody wants it.
Yeah.
This is the best way I know to find it. See if that pulls it up. Yeah, right there. Let's see. Let's go to Church of Works. This is my channel. Had problems getting it uploaded. Okay, this is my channel, Church of Works. And on this channel, you will find the health videos.
Okay.
So it's best to start with your foundations. Start down here at the beginning. You got to begin at the beginning, so you've got the basics.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's impossible to help you, because you call me and ask me, well, are you going through a healing crisis? And you're like, what's that? Oh. You know what? If you watch the basics, you would know, and you'd be able to tell me.
Yes. Yes.
So this is why it's important to get the basics, because I will, if you have health problems, I will act as a buddy to you for free. I don't charge anything for anything. And I'll be a kind of a recovery buddy for you if you're doing your own thing. So there's that. And
is your Church of Works, is that on YouTube?
Yeah.
Or is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's called Church of Works, and it's on YouTube.
Okay, great.
And on our calls in the future, maybe we can discuss individual cases, and people can say, this or this, and I can either try to point them myself to an answer, or point them to somebody who can point them to an answer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.